Welcome to Excel magic trick number 1419. Hey, if you want to download this Excel workbook, Excel magic 1419 start or the finished file so you could follow along, click on the link below the video. Hey, last three videos we've been talking about ranking for unit profit and total profit for both products and then products within manufacturer. Now, in 1417, we saw Excel functions. 1418, we saw pivot tables. And in this video, we want to see how to use DAX formulas. Now, our two tables, we have a table with product and profit. And then we have a lookup or dimension table with a unique list of our products. And then retail price, standard, cost, color, and manufacturer. Now, let's just go look at the end result before we start. In the finished file, we want a pivot table that has manufacturer, product, unit, profit. And then in the values area, we calculate total profit and then rank total profit. So clearly, we can see the quad with this 495,000 is first. Darnell fast catch for total profit is second. Then we want to come over and rank these same profits, but within each manufacturer. So clearly, the order is 1, 2, 3 within this particular manufacturers when we're ranking total profits. Then we want to do the same thing for the actual unit profit, rank all the products, and then the product unit profit within each manufacturer. Now, if we go back over to our start file, I've already loaded these into the data model. If we go over and click the data model button, here's the F units table and dProduct. And notice I've hidden all of these columns by right-click, hide from client tool. This says unhide because I don't want any of these columns in our pivot table field list. We're just going to build some measures down here. If we go look at the dProduct, similarly over here, I've hidden everything that we're not going to use as criteria in the row area of the pivot tables. There's also in diagram view, we can see that there's a 1 from the product table to many relationship. Back here in data view, let's go over to the F units table. And we're going to create our first measure, which is total profit. Yes, even though this column is hidden and won't show up in the field list, we can still access that column in our formulas. Now, we're down in the measure grid. Down here, you select a single cell. Come up to the formula bar. We're going to type the name of the measure, total profit, and then colon equal sign separates the name of the measure. That'll show up in our field list and the actual formula. We're going to use the sum function. F and then down arrow to F units, profit and tab. We always have a table name and then in square brackets our column name when we're referencing a column. Close parentheses and enter. Now, what I love about measures is that we can attach a number formatting to this formula. So if I go up and select English United States, that number formatting will follow this formula around. Now, we want to start our pivot table before we create our ranking formula. So I'm going to go up and click the pivot table button. New worksheet is fine. Click OK. I'm immediately going to double click and call this PT and enter. I see my field list isn't showing up. Right click inside the pivot table, show field list. All right, now here is a great feature. We've hidden all the columns, but the table name is still there with a little sigma, meaning those are all of our measures. And down here, there's the criteria we're going to drag down into the row area. Now, we're going to start off by simply dragging product down. Later, we'll drag manufacturer and unit price. And let's drag the total profits measure down to the values. And just like that, we get our correct total for each one of the products. And how does a measure do that? Well, remember, it's the same formula all the way down, but the formula see the conditions or criteria in the row area. That quad, which is in our product table, the entire product table filters down to just quad. That filter travels across the relationship, filtering the actual fact table down to just the profits for quad. And then the sum adds them up. Now, what we need is a formula that will rank. We need a 1 here, 2, 3, and so on. Well, looking at this pivot table is actually going to help us understand the rank X function. Now, in our earlier video, we used rank.eq in Excel. That wouldn't work here because we have a measure that we need to compare across a column of product names. Well, the RANKX function is perfect for that. The RANKX function wants your column of values and the measure. And RANKX will actually go through the column, iterating, calculating the actual sales amount, and then ranking them, returning the rank to the cell. So let's go back over to our measured grid. And right below, we're going to create our first ranking formula. Rank total profit by product, colon, equal sign, and here it is, rank.x. Notice there's a rank.eq, but that requires an actual value that will be in a list of value. And that's not what we have here. We have a table, which is going to be our column of product names, and then the expression will be our total profit measure. For the table argument, we actually want to supply the column of product names. So we're going to use the all, which is a table function. If we give it the column dProduct product column, all is programmed to go through and deliver a unique list of values as a table. Now, it just so happens that that is the primary key, so it's already a unique list. But the all function is going to serve its purpose. It's going to deliver a table with all of the values we want to iterate across, comma. And then our expression, square bracket, and there's our total profit. Again, what this function will do is it will take the total profit and go through every row calculating the rank. Now, there's three other arguments here that are not mandatory, comma. The value is for when you have in the expression an actual column that's part of a larger table. We'll see an example of that later, comma. The value then would be the value that it needs to rank. But we don't have that here, comma. Order, ascending or descending. And the cool thing is descending is the default. So the biggest will be first. But you could simply put that in if you wanted to do ascending, comma. And then the last argument is how we deal with ties. Skip is just like rank.eq in Excel. If we have a four-way tie for third, it would be third, 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 and the next position would be seventh place. If you use dense, that means everyone would get third, and the next position would get fourth. Again, the default is skip, so we don't have to put that in. Close parentheses and enter. Now, Alt-Tab to go back over to our pivot table. There's our measure for ranking profit by product. So I'm going to drag it down to total profit. And there it is. There is the rank. That is a cool function. Rank.x took that measure, compared it across this column, and ranked all of them. Now, I want to go back over to the data model and look at a potential pitfall. Now, notice I have this selected rank all. We did the all on the product column. And that is a measure, total profit. Well, if we look down at total profit, it's just the sum function. But there's something special going on here. Anytime you have a measure within another measure, there's actually a hidden calculate function wrapped around it. Now, that's important. Calculate always brings filter context in. And with calculate, we usually use it to change the filter context. But calculate also brings any existing row context in and brings it into the measure. If we did not allow the row context, which means the ability to calculate each row in the product table to flow into our measure from our pivot table, when we were in this cell, the entire column would only have this total amount for every single product. Now, I want to show you that live because this is a common problem. Let's go back over here. And the idea is we're going to build the same formula, but we're going to put the sum function directly into rank. So I'm going to copy this up here in the formula bar, Control-C, Escape, come one cell below, click up in the formula bar, Control-V. And I'm going to change the name. So this will be the one where we use the sum function. And instead of a measure with a hidden calculate, which does context transition, row context into filter context, we're just going to use a straight aggregate function. F units, and I'm going to get the total profits. Now, you could prove this to yourself in a few ways. If you put a straight sum function into a calculated column, you get the same amount in every single cell because the aggregate function is not going to see the row context. Hey, close parentheses, enter. Let's go back over here. There's our new incorrect rank. I'm going to drag it down below. And of course, we get 1 all the way down because right here in that cell, yes, filter context flows into the sum function. The sum function will accurately calculate this. But when it goes to iterate over the column, it gets the same number all the way across. Alt-Tab. The reason why, there's none of this row context in the sum calculation. But no problem. We can force context transition by using the calculate. Context transition is simply calculate taking any filter or row context and bringing it into the calculation. So if you do decide to use the straight sum or whatever your aggregate calculation is here, be sure to put calculate around. Enter. When I go back over here, now it will calculate the same number. Now, we don't need this column anymore, so I'm going to uncheck. Now, as we look at our rank by product, hey, look at this down at the bottom, the grand total. We do not want this 1 down here. Now, I could easily go shut off the grand totals up in Design, Grand Totals. But I want the total here for total profit. So let's amend our formula. And notice that our formula in each cell is sitting in a filter context where there's exactly 1 product showing for every row. When it gets down to the bottom here, the entire product table is unfiltered. So there is not just 1 row showing in the product column. So we can go and amend, use the if function, and say if the filter table has exactly 1 product, then run the rank. Otherwise, when it doesn't have a single filtered row, show nothing. Alt-Tab. All right, let's click on our total rank by profit. There's our formula. We're going to come right before the R and after the equal sign and use the if function. Now, the if function needs a logical test, true or false. And the great thing about DAX is they have some amazingly helpful names for functions. And this function is named has1, and there's filter and value. We're going to use value. Has1 value. Down arrow, just a dProduct table, product column, tab, close parentheses, and comma. Now, has1 value simply looks through the product column, and when it's filtered to 1 value, it'll deliver a true. When it's not, it'll deliver a false. So when it's true, there it is, result if true. It runs the rank. Otherwise, and the great thing about the if function over here in DAX is if you leave that argument out, it will use the blank function, which shows nothing and is a substitute for an empty cell in Excel or a null over in databases. Now I'm going to come to the end, close parentheses, and that will do it. Enter. Alt-Tab. And there's our formula, working perfect, showing blank in the grand total row. Now, our next task is to add manufacturer. This calculation is correct, but we're going to need a second calculation that calculates the profit within manufacturer. So we come over to the dProduct, grab manufacturer, and I'm going to very carefully, and when I see the green line right above product, I'm going to drop it. And there we go. We have our manufacturer condition, but there is a problem. This formula is seeing the filter context from 2 different columns. This manufacturer column is influencing the calculation. Now, actually, this is the calculation we want for our next column. But for rank total profit, I actually want the formula to only see this one column. I need to remove manufacturer. Now, actually, no matter what I drop here, I want our formula to always look at all the products. So we're going to go back over, Alt-Tab, and we're going to amend our formula. Now, notice we did all on product. But if I really want to remove all the filters for the dProduct table, I can just put the dProduct table inside of all. Now, all, if you give it the entire table, it actually exposes the entire table, removing all the filters. If you give it a single column, it delivers a unique list of items for that column. But for us, I want to remove all filters from the dProduct table so that this total profit is always iterating over the entire product table. Click at the end, Enter. Oh, and look at that. It's very polite. And there's a red dash in DAX error tracking. So I'm going to click Escape, and it says, hey, you forgot one square bracket. Backspace. Click at the end and Enter. Alt-Tab. Now, that will calculate correctly for ranking profits for all products no matter what I drag from the product table. Now I want to fix this table up a little bit. I don't want those expand buttons. I'm going to right-click down to Pivot Table Options. Over here on Layout and Format, I'm going to uncheck Auto Fit Column Widths. Display, I want to uncheck Show Expand Collapse buttons. Click OK. I definitely do not want subtotals. So Design, over to Layout, Subtotals, do not show. I want to repeat the item, so I come up to Layout. Report Layout, repeat all items. All right, our report is looking good, and we have our rank total profit. But we need a rank here that includes manufacturer. Now, what did we do for our formula? We did all for the whole table. But what I really want if I'm ranking the products within manufacturer is I want all of the columns removed from the product table except for manufacturer. I want this criteria to flow in. So Alt-Tab. We're going to amend this one, but I'm going to copy this formula up in the formula bar. Control-C, Escape. I'm going to click below in the Measure Grid. Click back up in the formula bar, Control-V. And this rank is going to be rank total profit by product within manufacturer. Now, the only thing we need to amend here is I want all except for the manufacturer. I want that criteria to flow in. There's an amazing function. So many of these functions are named smartly. All except. Now, all except will pull all of the filters away from the pivot table filter context for a given table, comma, except for a column that you specify. And we want manufacturer to influence the calculation. So I'm going to Tab. So all except removes all filter on this table except manufacturer. Now total profit will iterate across the entire dProduct table with the manufacturer condition or criteria flowing in and influencing this calculation from the pivot table. I click at the end, Enter, Alt-Tab. Now I can drag this down below, and there is ranking product profit within manufacturer. Now we could add some wrap text up here. I think I'll do that at the end. Now we've done our two calculation on total profit, but now I want to add an extra column that shows the unit profit and then rank both for product and product within manufacturer. So now I'm going to come over, and this is our third column we're dragging from the product table. Drag it as a row area condition. So I drag down here, and there is our unit profit. Right here, I'm actually going to insert two columns to rank the total profit and the total profit within product and manufacturer. And in our first calculation, since we don't have a measure like we did here, remember we had total profit measure, we don't have that measure to iterate over a table. We're actually going to see how to use the value argument. That's the third argument in RANKX to rank unit profit. Alt-Tab. Click down below. Click up in the formula bar. Rank unit profit by product, colon, equal sign, and there's our RANKX function. The table Because I want it for all the products, no matter what the condition or criteria is, I'm going to use the all on the dProduct table. That'll pull all the filters away on the product table, always exposing our unique list of products, comma. Now, expression, remember the last one we had a measure, but here I'm going to try and put the actual column, down arrow to unit profit. Now, when we do this, there is a problem because the expression is expecting a single value or an aggregated value that it can iterate over this table right here. But since this is a column, comma, we can use the third argument, value. Now, if we tried to put dProduct, it won't even let us put this unit profit column there because the problem is that argument right there does not have the row context from the RANKX function. But no problem. Remember that in our pivot table, in the row area, we have that unique list of products and our product unit profit. So in this argument, I'm going to use the values function to go and get a unique list of all the items from the pivot table filter context. And I want to use the dProduct, and I'm going to go down and dProduct unit profit. Now, what values will do is it will look as the formula is copied down in the pivot table and deliver a unique list. Because for each row in the pivot table there's a single item, values will deliver a single item. However, when it gets down to the grand total, it'll deliver the unique list, which will be a bunch of items. And it will cause our formula temporarily to have an error. Now, let's just see that that happens. Close parentheses and enter. You get this error here. It says table of multiple values was supplied where a single value was expected. Now, it'll mess up our formula, but watch this. If we add, which is necessary for us, our if, and then has one value, and I'm going to do it on the unit profit, close parentheses. Now, when this delivers a true comma, the RANKX will not get an error because the filter context values will be delivering a single value. Now I come to the end. That's the result if true, and I leave result if false off to deliver that blank to the grand total cell. Close parentheses and enter. And now the error goes away, and we have a blank. So what is happening here is we have our entire table. We have a column here. It's supposed to be an aggregated value that it can iterate over here. But since we don't have one, we get one using the values function. Values will then take that unit profit. It will look through this column, which is part of this table, iterating all the way across and calculating a rank for each unit profit. Now when I hit Enter, Alt-Tab, there's our rank unit profit by product. I drag it down here, and look at that. Now we can see our new number one for overall, the Manu Rangs. Although it was 6th in total overall profit, unit profit is 1. Our quad boomerang here, although it was 1st overall in total profits, it's only 3rd overall in unit profit. Now, our next calculation is to rank the unit profit within manufacturer. And I want to go back over, Alt-Tab. This formula actually is not often used. We don't often use the values argument because we could have constructed this in a different way. We could have had the all function with our table and then used in expression sum of unit profit. Then we wouldn't have to use third argument value using values. But I did want to show you at least one example of how to use that third argument. Now, for our next one, we're going to follow the logic of this one. If has one value, and we'll rank X all except manufacturer. And notice we have as a measure total profit here. So in our next formula, if I want the sum of unit price and I don't have it as a measure already, I better use calculate. Now watch this. I'm going to totally cheat since the first part of this is all completely the same. Control-C, escape. Come down here, up to the formula bar, Control-V. Rank total profit by, it's not total, it is unit. So we're ranking unit profit by product within manufacturer. We're still checking to see if it has one value. That'll turn off the grand total rank. RANKX. There's our table. For us, we want to remove all filters except for the manufacturer. Now we come to expression, and I would like to just use the sum of dProduct unit profit. Now this is not like the other sum where we were adding many different values to get a total. There's only a unique list of products. So it's just using the aggregate function to get at the unit price. Close parentheses. If we use the aggregate function without calculate, it would not see the row context here, and we get first throughout the entire pivot table. So we have to wrap our calculate around this to do context transition, getting both filter and row context to flow in. Close parentheses. And there it is on the expression. If we leave value out, then expression is calculated in each pivot table cell and will be used to iterate over this table to calculate the rank. Close parentheses on rank. There's the result of true. We're leaving result of false off to get our blank. Close parentheses. Enter. Alt-Tab. Now we're going to drag this down to here. And if we look down at turning point, if we look at rank total profit within this manufacturer turning point, we get first for the Darnell, second and third. But we get a slightly different order when we're ranking unit profit. Now I'm going to come up to the top, highlight all these, home, wrap text. And there is our pivot table report. And if we think about back to the formulas, with formulas we were allowed to create this entire thing because the formulas could look at separate different columns. When we did it in our last video with pivot tables, we had trouble. We had to create multiple pivot tables. But when we get over to DAX, we have no problem dragging whatever conditions we want into the row area and then constructing various DAX formulas to get the correct calculation. Total profit, rank of total profit for the product, rank total profit within the manufacturer, rank unit profit overall, and then unit profit within manufacturer. All right, that was a lot of fun with DAX. We'll see you next video.